Hello, everyone. It's Hyde in the Philippines. Today, we're not going to do a Philippine story. I've been doing this a little while now, and every once in a while, I'd like to tell a different story. I have many stories, and this is one of them, and I'm going to tell it. If you checked in to hear a Philippine story, I am so very sorry. But if you want to stick around, I think I'll make you smile a little bit. Okay, this story is about my sons and an unexpected gender reveal. Okay, I had a couple of sons. They were born 11 months apart. They called them Irish twins. Now, if you have kids, which we're talking about right here and now, they start out, little bundles of joy, they call them, and that quickly transforms into some kind of animal that they didn't prepare you for. You start feeding these things, the next thing that there's stuff coming out of here, there's stuff coming out of there. Everywhere there's a hole, there's stuff coming out of. And, as they get bigger, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. The fragrances that they emanate. I got to tell you, man, they'll sometimes, they can beat out a men's truck stop bathroom with what they're capable of doing. But anyway, I had these kids, and as I was telling you, the bigger they get, the more disastrous they become. I mean, little walking biohazards. There's no telling from day to day what they're going to get into or what's going to happen or come out of them. So one of the first things that parents teach their kids is how to do this little trick where they hang from the fingers. You pick them up off the ground. Well, that's a defense mechanism because if they did a horrible one up their back, or they done spewed all kinds of gross stuff down their front, or a combination of the both. The best way to pick one of these things up without getting feces and or other things upon you is the finger trick. You pick them up and you carry them to the bathroom. Because let's face it, folks. There's some things that when you whip out one of the baby wipes, you're looking at it going, "This is not." We don't got enough baby wipes, so you have to take them to the bathroom. And they're immediately going to get some kind of hose down because baby wipes it's just not going to work. So at the time, I lived in a duplex with my children, and we had a bathroom downstairs. There was a toilet downstairs right off the kitchen, and then you had to go upstairs, and upstairs was the bathroom. It was a very small bathroom. Like I said, it was a duplex. It had the kitchen or the sink there, so you could brush your fangs, and the mirror, and then it had a corner shower. No bathtub, just corner shower. So you'd be in the shower, and then every once in a while the bathroom door would kick open, and you'd be presented with some encrusted little biohazard that held by fingers. And sometimes as a parent, the only time you get any peace is when you're in the shower taking a shower. You're scrubbing yourself going, "Oh man, ain't nobody gonna bother me in here." Well, that's just not the case when you have babies. So like I said, every once in a while you'd get a baby in some kind of form of disarray, covered in some kind of filth, and they just push it in the shower with you and then close the door and walk off. Well, you have, at that point, you have no choice but to clean this thing off. It is yours for one, and who else is going to do it? The person that brought it to you has left the building, so there you are. You come home, you're all dirty, and then they hand you in. And it's not always, they don't take the clothes off all the time. So I have been handed a baby that's just, in a onesie, just this side all covered in brown, and then the front side covered in God knows what. And they put it in your arms, and now it's on your arm. And I tell you, man, it's got to, you got to be a parent to this child because man, it's all over your arm, and then when the water's hit, now you're watching this stuff. It's draining down your body. This pile of putrescence is just cascading down your body, and the first couple of times it happens, it's but over the course of the years, you just kind of get used to it. You hear the bathroom door kick open, and here it comes. You don't know what kind of filth bomb is coming into the shower with you. Now, on the other hand, I myself have done the exact same thing. I would, they do something disastrous, and I'd look at it and go, it's too cold. It's winter. We can't put the garden hose, because I've garden hosed them boys. I'm a dad. If it was too bad, and when they got walking around, I'm not saying as a baby, but I've garden hosed them suckers more than one time. whatever, when they're little, you just got to take them up into the shower. So I'd give it to the wife too. I'd kick that door open, equal strokes, different folks, right into the bath you go, and I'd shut the door and I'd be like, yeah, hearing her bitch, yeah, you get up. I don't want to hear it. Out the door I went, clumpity clump, down the stairs. Now over the years, the boys got used to this type of behavior, but something transpired around 2 or 3 years old. They get about this high, and that's about genitalia level. They're in the shower there. You wash them off, and you set them off to the side till you finish doing what you're doing. And they're in there. It's tight quarters, so they're looking at what's going on there, and they noticing their similarities and differences. So sort of that's what this is about. One of my sons at some point noticed that there was a difference and started having questions. So as a parent, it's your obligation to try and define and answer these questions. And back in the 90s, we weren't too confused about these things. We had delineated the differences pretty equally. Times are different now. But according to my demographics, most of y'all are over 50, so I don't believe I'm going to get too much shit. Anyway, so, he's looking up at his mom, and he noticed that there's something missing. So he's got questions, and then, we set him down, and we tell him that, we explain the difference, and he absorbs it. And then for about the next month, every time he'd meet somebody, he'd look at them and decide, which gender they were, and then he'd announce it proudly like he had just discovered, some kind of new something or whatever. He was super proud about his ability to do this. He'd point at you and he'd look right at you, and if you were a man, he'd look at you and he'd go, you're a man, you have a pee-pee, and you'd just be like, well, that's right, young man, sure enough, all right. And then he'd do it to women, and he'd look at a woman, he'd look at them, and he'd look at that woman, and he'd go, you're not a man, you don't have a pee-pee. And he'd say it like that, like you were less than, because, he was a man, you weren't a man, he had some shit that you didn't have. I don't know what was really going on, but he was really on the team of man. And when he would say it to a woman, he'd degrade him a little bit, and I'd smile, and the women would be like, yes, that's right, I don't have a pee-pee. And, some of them get indignant and be like, yeah, but I got these, son, and you'll appreciate this later. Which, I couldn't argue with, and I'm sure both of them really, really appreciate the things that women have that we don't. Well, at least my sons do. Yours, I'm not judging anybody, but according to what I've seen, my sons are pretty fond of everything women have to offer. Anyway, so like I'm saying, we did this for about a month, and it was cute. He'd walk around, we'd go out in public, and he'd be saying these things, and it was cute. It was super cute. Now, every once in a while, he'd fail. Because you run across somebody that, it was one of, kind of iffy, and especially for like a 2 or 3 year old, he's doing his best. And, he might say to some woman and call her a man and tell her she had a pee-pee, and she'd directly correct him. And of course, that was an embarrassing moment for me. But the quizzical look on his face was like, are you sure? Because, all the signs are pointing to something else. Are you positive? And, they were for sure positive about their situation. And it happened to men every once in a while. I mean, I just have to laugh. And, one time we was at the hardware store, and he said it to this old dude. He was like, you're a woman, you don't have a pee-pee. And he goes, no, you're wrong, young man, I've got a pee-pee. Well, of course, there's a bunch of dudes in the hardware store, and they're all laughing and shit. So one of them says, hey, Joe, you better show him, because I don't think he believes you. Because once again, he had that look on his face like, are you sure? Because, all the clues that I'm getting, I've been here 3 freaking years, and I can tell you right now, I believe that you're mistaken. So like I said, smart ass over there, you better show him to prove it. We go on about our way, get our hardware stuff and out the door. So like I said, this goes on for about a month. Well, I pack up, one day I got to go to, we're barbecuing, and I noticed I don't have enough barbecue sauce, and I just fired up the grill, and I was like, well, we live in town, so it's not that big a trip to go over there to the Chiefs and get some barbecue sauce. So, my son's out there and he wants to go, and it's his lucky day because I happen to have the car seat strapped in my car. If you got two, you got to have two car seats. Well, sometimes we'd separate them, and it's a hassle, and so anyway, I got the one car seat, and I was like, all right, come on, man, let's go. I throwed him in the car seat, and we strapped in and head to the Chief. Get the Chiefs, get out. All right, come on, man. We go into the Chief there, and he's wearing sweatpants and a little t-shirt and shit. It's summertime, so we go in there to the Chiefs, and you go directly in, and you go to the right, and then the very first aisle is where they got the ketchup, mustard, barbecue sauce. So I truck right on over there. I got my little son in tow. I got him by the hand because I want him to go where I'm going. Because they can get distracted, them little kids, in a minute. What, squirrel, butterfly, shit. And the store's full of bright, shiny shit. So anyway, I got him by the hand. I get him over there to the barbecue, and I'm standing there, and I'm looking, trying to decide what I'm going to get as my barbecue sauce of the day. And he's sort of standing right there back behind me a little bit. And, I can feel him back there, and I can hear him moving around. And here in walks this old man. Now, this old man, he's an old farmer. He's got to be an old farmer or an old train conductor because he's wearing bib overalls, them white ones with the blue pinstripe with the train conductor hat. And I mean, he could have been a train conductor. He had the red kerchief and actually a pack of chewing tobacco. That's why I was guessing he's a farmer, because he had chewing tobacco up here. Now, this poor old guy, he just come in there to get him some ketchup or mustard. Hell, I don't really know, because as I'm standing there, I'm looking at the barbecue sauce. Now, what I did fail to tell you is that all my sons had hair to their ass. They had long ass hair because I had long hair too, and they were my little mini me's. The only difference is they had the Billy Ray Cyrus cut because, man, them, like I said, they were walking little disaster areas and all that hair. Jesus, man. Anyway, so they looked like little girls, sort of. Just so, if you weren't paying attention, you'd mistake them for a little girl because their hair was so long. So I mean, but they had a mullet. They looked like little Billy Ray Cyruses as far as I was concerned. Little achy breaky hearts and stuff. So anyway, we're in there, and I got my son behind him. This old man, like I said, he walks in behind me. He's standing there, and he looks down apparently at my son, and he puts his hand down on his head, and he goes, "What a beautiful little girl you are." I heard that, and I didn't pay it no mind because people had made that mistake on several occasions. And normally I would correct them, but I was busy picking out barbecue sauce, and I didn't give two shits if this old man thought that my son was a little girl. He was like 70 something, and from his time, only little girls would have hair this long. Okay, no problem. Not a problem for me. However, my son, like I said, was pretty, team man, and he wanted everybody to know that he was a man and was not a man. And, like I said, I was picking out barbecues. I was looking over this way, and I heard that shit. And then the next thing I heard was, I'm not a girl. I got a pee-pee. So now, as a parent, whenever I hear my son describing his genitalia, it's my obligation to turn and confront this situation, and what had happened as I turned was something I would never forget the rest of my days. My son had yanked his sweatpants. I had just caught him coming up, but he had yanked his sweatbands down to his ankles, and he had stood straight up. I mean, in the blink of a fucking eye, this happened. And he stood right up, and he throwed his hips out, boom, like so. And then he took his finger and did one of them snap fingers, one of them ones that bounces in and bounces a little bit because you got so much power cord. And he pointed right at his little manhood, and he looked at that man right in the face, and he said, "I'm not a girl, I got a pee-pee." And, this is what I witnessed the finger and the pointing, and he was looking at this old man with such a ferocity, like you had best recognize what is going on here, and you take a good look, you old man. And this old man, stunned, he looked right down there because, he was compelled. He looked right down there, and he's an old farmer. But that old farmer's turned beat ass red, so my face was beat ass red. And I got down there as fast as I could, and I yanked them pants up. And my son was still looking at him with that finger pointed. I got his pants up and I grabbed him by the hand. And, before all that happened, as I got the pants up, the old farmer finally managed to say something because, neither one of us could talk. I mean, he goes, "Well, for sure, you're definitely a young man. My apologies, young man." And I got my son by the hand. Now I was like, "We got to escape this situation because I got to tell you, me and this old man had one thing in common at this point. There is no way that we were both prepared for some little 2.5-year-old's ass hanging out in the breeze in the middle of the Chiefs, pointing at his his stuff and demanding the recognition that he deserved." I mean, I'm sure that old man tells that story too. Now, I grabbed my son's hand, and I got to tell you, I couldn't look at the little man, because at some point I had to admonish him for such behavior because you just can't be exposing yourself in the middle of the damn Chief there. But I got to tell you, the pride I had in my little man right there, and it wasn't because it was the sheer indignance and the look on his face. He was super pissed, and he wasn't having it. And I was like, "I don't give a damn if you are 80, old man. You will recognize my authority." And he did. So, and like I got my son by the hand and I'm dragging him away, and he's not coming willingly because he's still mean mugging this old man like over his shoulder like this, like, "You sorry son of a bitch." I believe if he could, he'd have whooped his ass right then and there. I don't know, but he was surely mad. And I got him around the thing, man, and I got to tell you, man, I had tears in my eyes. You know how when you want to laugh so bad, but you can't because you're not trying to justify this behavior as good behavior because it's bad behavior. However, was it justifiable from a 2.5-year-old? I don't know, man, but he was right. Anyway, we talked about it later, but I'm telling you, man, I had tears running down my face. We got up to the counter. I I had to circle back. The old man, he disappeared. I guess he got his ketchup or he just fucking left. I ain't sure because I had to circle back to get my barbecue sauce, and I got my barbecue sauce. And when I got up to the counter, I had tears on down. And the lady at the register, she's like, "Are you all right?" I was like, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm just fine. Everything's fine." Because I got this big shit-eating grin on my face. I still ain't been able to laugh. So anyway, that's my surprise gender reveal. I don't know if it made you smile or laugh. I basically just tell these stories to put it out there for posterity. Oh, if you made it to the end, could you like and subscribe? I mean, that would help the Al's Go rhythm. And I'd like to get to 1,000 by the end of the year on subscribers. All right, this has been Hiding in the Philippines. I hope you enjoyed my story. Peace. Be as good as you can. Ciao.